What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one, we are going to be talking about the team trading running back Sony Michel earlier today to the Los Angeles Rams in return for some draft capital. And a lot of people are getting confused exactly what the draft capital is. And understandably so, because it's been reported several different things. So I'm going to get into exactly what the compensation was that the Patriots gave up and what exactly the Patriots got in return for Sony Michel. But obviously, nonetheless, this is official. Sony Michel is not a New England Patriot anymore. He's going to the Rams. And we're going to get into exactly what that means for the team. Now, ultimately, am I surprised? Yes and no at the same time. Because I've been telling you guys for a while. I made an entire video, actually, I think, on a few players I thought the Patriots could end up trading. Sony Michel ultimately was one of those. Now, Sony ended up having the best offseason since he's entered the NFL. Each and every single year, I feel like he has gotten better, minus that sophomore slump. But especially this offseason, I feel like we have seen an entirely different Sony Michel. He looks a little bit more faster. He looks a little bit more elusive. But most importantly, we finally started seeing the college-level version of Sony Michel. Coming out of college, Sony Michel was a much more dynamic running back, as where when he entered the NFL, started playing for the Pats, he became more one-dimensional. I would say definitely this offseason, but even last year, we finally started to see Sony Michel pick it up in the passing game. We also saw Sony Michel pick it up much more from his sophomore slump in the running game also. Because of that, and because of the looks the Patriots were giving Sony Michel in training camp this entire offseason, it looked like the Patriots really wanted to go with that 1-2 punch of Sony Michel and Damien Harris. And that's something that I was completely okay with. This is something that I was actually excited to see. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I was excited to see Sony Michel play in the upcoming 2021 season. Now, obviously, Sony and Damien Harris both deal with injuries. Because of that, I thought it was honestly an excellent choice to keep Sony Michel around, because this is still going to be a run-first offense. What I also loved about keeping Sony Michel around was that it was going to keep the running back core at its peak. And what I mean by that was, hey, maybe now and then you'll see J.J. Taylor mixed in. Now and then you'll see James White. But for the most part, it was going to be Damien Harris and Sony Michel. I feel like they were going to split those reps not completely between each other. At the end of the day, Damien Harris was going to get more snaps, but Sony was still going to get a good amount of those offensive snaps also. It was going to keep both of these guys energized, which was ultimately going to tear down, for lack of better words, the defense's defensive line, their momentum. It's going to tire them out, is what I was looking to say. Because you always have this excellent 1-2 punch of Sony Michel and Damien Harris. Now, Sony is in contract year, so if the Patriots wanted to get anything out of the former first-round pick, they had to do it now. And you have to think, because they spent a first-round pick on a running back, which is something we never thought Belichick would do, he likely was going to want to get something out of that. Especially after the team also declined Sony's fifth-year option, which was worth only about $4 to $4.5 million, which really isn't that much. Now, as for the compensation, which I'm sure most of you are wondering what exactly it is, it was originally thought that the Patriots were going to get a 5th and 6th round pick that could turn into a 4th if the team does acquire one. Now, from what was reported just a couple of hours ago, the bundle will consist of a 6th round pick in 2022, so this year's upcoming draft, and then a 2023 4th round pick. The reason that, this was a big confusing situation was because per new NFL rules, the team can't get that potential 4th round pick if the Rams were to acquire one. So the Patriots ultimately pushed that 4th round pick into 2023, because currently the Rams did have a 2023 4th round pick, but they didn't have one for 2022, which is what made everything so confusing. So, long story short, Sony Michel goes to the Rams, and the New England Patriots get a 2022 6th and a 2023 4th. And honestly, I think the Patriots finessed here. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, they spent a first-round pick on Sony Michel, and you think that a 6th and a 4th-round pick is finessing that. Guys, I told you this before, even when I talked about trading Sony Michel. You have to understand is his position. It's running back, okay? We are not talking about trading a wide receiver, a tight end, a quarterback, a cornerback. That's not the case here. Running back, a lot of teams are still using singular running backs. They're not still using running back by committee like the Patriots do. So not every team is rolling with 4-5 running backs like the New England Patriots do. Because of that, there's really not this high demand for running backs around the league. There are still very good running backs who are on the open market because of this. With that being said, unless you have an Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, you're likely not going to get a 1st to 2nd round pick in return. I told you guys that I could see anywhere between a 4th and 5th round pick in return for Sony Michel, and New England was able to get a 4th and a 6th. The other interesting dynamic to this is that supposedly earlier in the week, the Patriots were approached about a trade for Sony Michel, and they declined it. I'd imagine that this was the Rams again. They didn't say what exactly team it was, but I would imagine that the team would be the Rams. But again, ultimately, the Patriots shut that offer down. A few days later, they come back and they say, all right, we are willing to trade Sony Michel. And something had to have happened within those few days that made the Patriots say, we don't want to trade Sony Michel too. Okay, he's expendable. We're going to trade him off. And from what I'm hearing, that factor was Mr. Ramondre Stevenson and the depth that the Patriots have at running back. Now, I don't want to say that Ramondre Stevenson is going to have this big role now. He's going to take over the Sony Michel role because, quite frankly, I don't believe that is what's going to happen. At the end of the day, he's still a rookie. He still fumbled in a preseason game. He isn't going to have this huge factor year one. Someone who I think is at this point a roster lock and someone who I think is going to have a bigger season is J.J. Taylor. J.J. Taylor, because of this Sony Michel, probably benefited more than anybody possibly could. I think the team likes what they see as a situational running back, what they see as a pass-catching running back, even what they've seen as a pass-blocking running back. They know that Damien Harris is going to get this workload, but it seems like they are okay with the rotation behind Damien Harris. The only thing that does concern me is if Damien Harris does get injured, I don't know how much I love, at least from right now, because it's still unproven, the running back core of James White, who is more of a pass-catching running back and a screen guy, J.J. Taylor, Brandon Bolden, and Ramondre Stevenson. It's not bad at all, don't get me wrong, but definitely not to the Damien Harris level and still has a lot of question marks, which bring up concern for me. Honestly, if the Patriots hadn't picked up Damien Harris, Sony Michel would still be here today. We saw this past season with a big drop in production, not statistically, but opportunity-wise for Sony Michel once Damien Harris came along his sophomore season after his red-shirted rookie year. I mean, I guess you could even say that statistically it took a drop because his opportunities took a big drop. He went from 209 rush attempts in 2018, his rookie year, 247 rush attempts in 2019, and only 79 in 2020. It is worth noting, though, that in 2020, he was producing the best yards per attempt with 5.7. But Sony Michel has always put up very good and very respectable numbers. 931 yards with 6 touchdowns in his rookie season. 912 yards and 7 touchdowns his sophomore season. And then in those 79 attempts in 6 games, he put up 449 yards and 1 touchdown in 2020. I think the Patriots realized that they can do this without Sony Michel. Because of that, made him expendable. The team knows that there's a lot of other guys that they want to keep on this roster in other positions, and we've talked about that many times, whether it's wide receiver, whether it is the defensive line, or potentially cornerback, offensive line. So some of these key guys, unfortunately, were going to have to be traded. At the end of the day, though, Sony Michel was an excellent selection by the Patriots. I don't think anybody should say he's a bust. I never thought Sony Michel was, a Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott type of player anyway. And Sony was a huge reason that the Patriots went to the Super Bowl his rookie season in 2018 and beat the Rams. Without him, I don't know if the Patriots got there. Before we end this video off, though, I do want to talk about the sponsors of this video, betonline.ag. Now, betonline has the fastest and the easiest ways to bet on all of your sports action. Football might be over, but it is coming back along with all the other sports, such as NBA, baseball, basketball. And BetOnline even covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV with real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. All you guys have to do is use that promo code CLNS50 to receive a 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. They have you covered for all of the news, scores, and odds, and it's the best way to place your bets, and it's completely free to sign up. All you guys got to do, like I said, go over to BetOnline, check them out. But guys, the Patriots trade Sony Michel to the Los Angeles Rams. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, I do appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Go Pats.